It has been a year now since 3 American hikers were detained in Iran. A year in jail without being charged. A year of hardship. A year away from the friends and family who love them. How are they surviving and what's being done to get them released? We'll talk with the mother of one of the Americans held in Iran right now on It's Your Call. It was July 31st, 2009. 3 American college buddies, Josh Fattal, Shane Bauer, and Shane's fiancée, Sarah Shord, were hiking in the mountains of Iraqi Kurdistan, which borders Iran, when they were detained by Iranian soldiers. They have since been held in an Iranian prison, although no charges have been filed against them. They've had no access to their lawyers and have only seen family members once in the last year. However, there is an international campaign underway for their release, and hopefully that will be soon. Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us. I'm Lynn Doyle. The last year has been horrific for Laura Fattal, whose son Josh is one of those 3 American hikers being held in Iran. She joins us this hour with her family's story. Laura, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me, Lynn.
First and foremost, I know that you had the opportunity to meet with Josh back in May. How is he doing?
Well, Josh, in my eyes, always is gorgeous, and I was so happy to see his sense of humor is intact. He's physically well. He was very, very isolated, and all 3 of them, Shane, Sarah, and Josh, they had no idea of the campaign to get him home. And we filled them with information, how people, supporters all over the world, all over our country, have come out and have just held vigils and have been so supportive of them.
Does he have any understanding of why he's been behind bars for a year?
He really doesn't have a clear understanding at all. There is some thought there was going to be a charge of illegal entry, but we have never seen that charge. Because we were hearing there was a potential charge on December 27th, we hired an independent Iranian lawyer, Mr. Masoud Shafi, and all 3 families, we work together all the time, and we hired Mr. Shafi, and he has been very willing and very eager to meet the kids, but he has not been allowed to see them. So we, of course, have written to the kids, that the young people, Josh, Shane, and Sarah, that we do have a lawyer, and that we have also told Mr. Shafi we are so eager for him to go in and meet his clients.
We've been looking at pictures as you've been speaking of Josh as he's been growing up. Has he been involved politically, that he might be considered by the Iranian government to be detrimental to them, or is he just a kid who's kind of, you know, exploring his roots and traveling the world?
There is nothing in Josh that is at least be suspicious, not at all. And in fact, Josh was finishing a teaching fellowship, and his teaching fellowship was with the International Honors Program, and that was a group of 30 undergraduates working. The program is based out of Boston. 30 undergraduates. His semester was on health and community. They went to Switzerland, they went to India, they went to China, and they went to South Africa. On the way home from South Africa, he visited his brother Alexander, who is a PhD student at Harvard in anthropology, who was doing research there. He stayed with his brother a bit and then wanted to see his old housemate, Shane, who was working in Damascus. And his Shane's girlfriend at that time, Sarah, was teaching English to Iraqi refugees. Shane and Sarah had planned this 1-week vacation because Sarah was not teaching for that 1 week. An 8-day vacation has turned into 11 and a half months of detention.
Unbelievable. You mentioned Josh's brother, Alex, who is joining us now as well, and we are grateful for his appearance as well. Alex, tell me what Josh's mindset was when he was visiting you and about to set out on this 8-day vacation.
Well, Josh was excited to have some time off. I mean, all 3 of them work really hard. They enjoy traveling, but they're all really committed to what they're passionate about, what they're interested in. Josh's passions, as my mother was beginning to say, revolve around environmentalism, health, living sustainably, trying to have less of an impact on the environment. So he was, with his fellowship, essentially responsible for 33 undergraduate students. Was a tremendous responsibility. Mm-hmm. So him and I were taking the opportunity to see each other. We had almost a full 2 months together over the summer, last summer. And just taking deep breaths and beginning to think about what his next move is. I mean, he was looking at graduate school, he was looking at other things. So he was kind of looking forward to his future. He was not looking forward to languishing unnecessarily in a Wien prison.
I'm glad that your mother explained that this most recent hiking trip was part of an overall worldwide adventure, because I know there are people sitting at home saying, why were these kids in Iraqi Kurdistan to begin with? But as your mother explained to me in the green room, it really at that point was still considered quite safe for Americans. Yeah,
I mean, there hasn't been an incident. You look at Americans traveling to Jamaica or certain provinces of Mexico, the homicide rate is much higher. It's much more dangerous to go to many of these places. It's easy to say in retrospect, well, they could have been a bit more prudent, but Iraqi Kurdistan, it markets itself as the other Iraq. This is not what we're seeing on the television night in and night out in Anbar province in Baghdad and the IEDs. Kurdistan is a scenic region. Tourists from Western Europe, Germany, and domestically go there, and particularly to this waterfall that is in the unmarked border region. And that's an important part to remember, that it's not like there's a Rio Grande, there's a river that separates Mexico from the U.S. I mean, this is a totally unmarked border area.
And that's really the key to what happened on July 31st, 2009, isn't it? Is that it was an unmarked territory, and you believe that these 3 Americans wandered onto the wrong side of the border and then were detained.
We're not sure. We're not sure about that. It's very unmarked, and we have no conclusive information. The Nation, the magazine The Nation, has said that the Iranian authorities have came over to get them. So we weren't there, but it is an unmarked region, and so we know the kids could easily explain themselves if they could speak to their lawyer and if they need to explain themselves.
Did they explain to you, or did your son explain to you how he happened to be in that area?
Well, they were walking on a path. They were walking on a path, and they believed they were not in Iran.
They believed they were where they were supposed to be, Iraqi Kurdistan.
Yes, all 3 of them very much believed they were in Iraqi Kurdistan.
So I know people are wondering, if they're not able to talk to their lawyers, how are you able to acquire any information about their condition, their mindset, what's happening to them on a daily basis? How does that information get dispersed to you?
Well, we don't have a lot of information. The only direct contact we've had was the mother's visit. If that was cut to 2 days, inexplicably, they waited over a week, they waited over 5 months, I'm sorry, for a 1-week visa. And that 1 hour before they're getting ready to depart, they're informed that the visa has been cut to 2 days with no reason. One phone call in the course of a year, one phone call. I don't know if your viewers can possibly imagine to have your brother, to have your sister, son, daughter, whoever you're closest to in this world, and not be able to hear their voice. March 9th, we received one phone call. My dad got the call. And other than the mother's very brief visit, we've had no direct contact. There have been Swiss diplomats who've managed to go in and meet with them on 3 occasions. September 29th, October 29th, April 22nd. But the information is extremely limited, so it's not like we have a wealth of information.
No, it isn't, and it sounds like it would just be a heartbreaking situation for any family, particularly for a mother. We have to take a quick break, but when we come back, we are going to talk about that visit that the hikers had with their mothers back in May, and we'll talk about what's being done and what you can do to try to help get these young Americans back home where they belong. Stay with us.